So good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Environmental Social Justice. I have a good old friend of mine here, Joe Rubinstein. He is the CEO and founder of Digital Bolex. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And you and I met both living downtown Los Angeles many years ago. And now you went outside of downtown LA and to do urban farming. So tell us about that.
Well, I don't do urban farming for a living, just to be clear.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were just kind of coincidentally house hunting. In 2019, I was living in downtown and our landlord raised our rent by some astronomical amount because he was converting a lot of the lofts into Airbnb locations.
Yeah.
Well, joke's on him. Through pandemic, nobody's staying in an Airbnb and he's got an empty building. But so he raised our rent some, I had lived there for over 10 years and our rent had basically never gone up, more than a few dollars. So then he raised it 20% all of a sudden, or he was telling us he was going to raise it 20% all of a sudden. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to find a different place to live. And we started looking around at houses to buy. And we found a neighborhood called Shadow Hills. I was looking for something close enough. I was looking for something in Burbank, but Burbank is crazy expensive.
Everywhere is crazy.
Burbank in particular is like, there was like, here's $1 million house that is a one-room shack that hasn't been lived in 20 years, and there's a giant hole in the roof.
Fabulous. What's wrong with that? You were
nothing. It's perfect. Yeah. So we were looking at neighborhoods just outside of Burbank, and we found this one called Shadow Hills, and it's a horse community. So all the properties are about an acre, and a lot of our neighbors have horses and things like that, and or donkeys or things like that. So we fell in love with the house first, and then decided it was close enough to Burbank that I could have a little studio there and it wouldn't be a big stretch for people to come there. And so that's what we did. We bought a house right at the end of 2019. We moved in in November of 2019 for the first, news things about COVID to drop in January 2020.
Yeah.
And we were so lucky to get out of downtown when we did, because I can't imagine, living through, especially the beginning, the first year of COVID. And we were on the 11th floor. So, getting in an elevator 2 or 3 times a day just to walk the dog, and then walking through those streets, and then all the parks were closed. So I don't even know where the dog would go to the bathroom because.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they closed all of the public spaces. All like Pershing Square was closed. All of the dog parks were closed. All of that. It was like, it was. I don't know what we would have done there.
And downtown was getting a little bit scary. I mean, I'd gone down for meetings right before COVID happened, and I was looking around, and things got a little dangerous, especially on 7th and Broadway. Things were getting a little rougher than normal.
Yeah, I walked the dog there for 10 years, often at midnight, and I never really had any problems, but I know a lot of people who did have problems there.
Yeah. Yeah, I was always a little nervous when I'd walk Sally Girl. And I didn't walk at midnight. I was in bed by midnight, or at least trying to sleep with that lovely nightclub we had above us.
Yeah.
God, that place sucked. Anyway, back to the farming thing. So you move out of downtown LA, and you don't really, I mean, I can assume your background is not in agriculture.
No, not at all.
Yeah, so you're just kind of like, what the hell, I'm going to get some chickens.
Yeah, so, I mean, I grew up, there were farms around, and for a few years in high school, I would spend a summer in Sarasota, where I would stay basically on a farm or near a farm, a horse ranch with a little farm. So I'd been exposed to farm chores, as a
Yeah.
young person. Um, I wasn't super knowledgeable about all the other stuff that goes along with it, their diet and parasites and all that kind of stuff. But it wasn't so bad. Um, and yeah, so I had been exposed to it. I had shoveled some horse poop in my day. I had cleaned some
I've mucked
chicken
a few
yards.
stalls.
Uh,
I've mucked a few stalls. I know
there
that.
you go. There you go. And so I had been exposed to it, more than just like once or twice, but like I'd lived there for a little while, a month or so, a month or two at a time. And yeah, and I have always been interested in chickens in particular, but most animals I find interesting in some way or other.
So what made you say, you know what, we're now outside of a downtown area, outside of an urban area, let's just get some livestock? Like what was that trigger for you? Was it, you wanted your own food, you wanted to just try it out? What was the trigger?
There was several triggers. I mean, the biggest one was just we were in a space where a lot of our neighbors had that,
Oh, okay.
right? So a lot of our neighbors have chickens or goats or horses or other animals, donkeys and things like that. So it's just kind of normal in this area. And then also at the same time, we were going to grocery stores and the egg aisle was empty.
Oh,
you know
really?
well, early COVID, right?
Oh, yeah. We pretty much stayed at home, and I mean, I do a ton of baking normally, so I do usually go through eggs, but I think at the beginning we just stayed home and just kind of just ate canned stuff for a while.
Right, yeah. So I mean, everybody remembers they were out of toilet paper, but they were out of we're vegetarian, but they were out of meats, they were out of eggs, they were out of milk and cheese, and sometimes they were even out of bread.
Oh,
And
yeah, that's
yeah,
true.
so there
And
was
cleaning supplies.
and all the cleaning supplies, that's right. So we just decided, why not, get some chickens and
You went to a neighbor's like, can I buy chicken from you and just take it home? Or
so before we got any of the animals that we got, it's so easy these days, because we would just join a Facebook group that's dedicated to that animal and read through all the problems that people in our area have had and all the preparedness suggestions that people have and things like that, and try to gauge what's good information and what's bad information. But so you can have, these days you can just have an instant community of people who have been doing this for dozens of years, who can all help you at a moment's notice.
that's
um,
awesome.
yeah, so
Bringing a community together, even if it's a worldwide community, that's pretty awesome that you have that.
yeah, so there's lots of chicken groups on Facebook. Pretty much every animal you can raise, there's a group on Facebook that'll wants to talk
What
about it.
what's been your personal biggest benefit of having chickens? What do you love about it?
Well, I like the chickens themselves. It's really, they all have very distinct personalities, and some of them near bedtime will come up and jump up in your lap and stuff like
Oh,
that. Some of them will run away from you if you just look at them. You know what I mean? So it's a fun, and again, it's community building, because you have to get a group of chickens that get along together. So
oh, never thought about that.
yeah, so um we call it the soap opera because every morning when the chickens come out of their house, you know, some of them are trying to reestablish dominance. Some of them are like, maybe today's my day to be, you know, the top
Queen
bird.
chicken.
Yeah, and so there's like a little drama soap opera that happens every day when the door opens, and
That's funny.
yeah, and you know, of course, some of the one of two of our chickens came from a back alley in Silver Lake.
Oh, no way.
So most of our chickens we bought from a chicken breeder, and we would buy like really specific breeds. Like, oh, we were interested in an Easter egger, so we have some green eggs. So
Oh,
we would go to this breeder who's like really great, and we would buy a chicken for $10 or $15 or something like that, a young chicken, and then raise it till it's old enough to start laying eggs and stuff like that. But she's a really conscientious breeder who's smart about, you know, because it's like any other animal. If you get one that is not bred well, they can have all kinds of like problems with their feet, with their, you know, with their crop, with egg production. There's a lot of things like that that a well-bred chicken will be healthier longer and produce more eggs.
you know, I never thought about that, but you're absolutely right. It's just like any other animal. If
Just
you
like any other
overbreed.
animal. That's right.
Now, you said that, do you have other animals other than chickens? I think you have.
We do. So almost a year ago, maybe 9 months ago, one of our neighbors was moving out of our neighborhood and couldn't take her goats with her. So we adopted 2 goats from a neighbor, and we just about a month ago adopted a pig from a shelter.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
And we also in the recent past adopted a miniature, like a dwarf goat. So we now have 3 goats, a pig, and 9 chickens.
That's a lot of chickens. Oh my Lord, I thought you had like 2 or 3.
Yeah, we have 9. We had 10, but one of them was being really mean to the others and kind of pecking them and pulling out their feathers. So
That's
we
not
gave
cool.
that chicken away.
Rehomed him.
Rehomed, yeah, and all of our chickens are female, so that
What do you do with all those eggs? That's got to be a ton of eggs.
we give a lot of them away. During warmer months, we average somewhere between 5 and 6 eggs a day, but I'll make a 5-egg omelet and eat the whole thing, no problem.
Well, when they're that fresh, there is a difference in taste. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, for sure.
Between farm fresh and what you get at the store, it's a world of difference. And
Yeah, you get to kind of control. You have some amount of control over that. So, one of the things, basically, the more protein you feed the chickens, the richer the egg yolk.
oh,
So when you want that, really, people associate it with a dark color. The dark color sometimes is associated, but usually the dark color is actually people just feed them saffron or yellow
oh,
foods, and it makes the
artificially dyed.
egg, yeah, makes the eggs, the yolks darker. But really, the richness of flavor comes from how much protein the birds are getting. So the normal kind of supplement for chickens is dried mealworms.
Mm-hmm.
So basically fly larvae. And so you buy it in these giant bags and you kind of sprinkle it on the ground, and they go after it like, you know, ravenously. So if you want really rich yolks and eggs, you just give them more
Protein.
of the mealworms. You can, so you have control over how rich your eggs are. It's a nice nice benefit. So yeah, I mean, now store-bought eggs taste like somebody watered them down to me.
Wow. I don't know if I've had other than a restaurant where they advertise farm fresh. I'll have to hunt that down, because now that you said that they can artificially dye them with saffron or food coloring,
Yeah.
I now wonder if what I had was real farm fresh or not. I'm gonna have to check that out. But I do want to segue now into your company,
Okay.
Digital Bolex, your CEO and founder. I remember when we were all living downtown, you were 3D printing them, correct?
Well, we were 3D printing prototypes because our R&D and prototyping stage lasted for almost 2 years, which was almost a year longer than we wanted it to be.
Yeah, I can understand.
But that's the hard thing about R&D, is you don't always know how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
So that company is actually closed down in 2016.
Oh.
I had a disagreement with the investor about basically what the business really was. You know what I mean? Like what our business practice should be and how it should sell and stuff like that. So I let him take over the company in 2015, and he ran it for about a year. And it was still making money, but it wasn't making him a lot of money. And he was already a pretty rich guy, and it was taking a lot of time to not make him a lot of money. So he just shut it down.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah.
And you are, because I see you're posting on Facebook, you direct commercials, videos. I saw some work that you do.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got into Digital Bolex because I come from a film background, have a strong film aesthetic, and have worked in video production for years, and still photography. So I got into that through that path, and yeah, so I just went back to that one. So I make music videos, web commercials. I do still photography. I edit documentaries for people, all sorts of things, anything to do with video or still production. I've probably done some version of it.
Very cool. So what I do is probably very amateur to you, because I am very much a beginner. This is not I'm a geologist. What can I say?
Yeah.
I'm just education outreach to people is the focus.
Yeah.
So proper media people, sorry.
Listen, I don't do streaming, so it's a totally different world.
Very different thing. Yes, that is true. That is true. Well, I thank you for today. This is awesome.
Absolutely.
I mean, this is great to let people know that you can go from your downtown urban environment and easily segue into doing your own farming, having your own livestock, just changing. Even if you don't have a background in it, just give it a shot. Facebook groups, build your communities. I think that's brilliant information.
Yeah, joined Facebook group. So yeah, what we did was, like, about a month before we got chickens, we joined Facebook groups. We asked a bunch of questions. I have I put together a little slideshow if you're interested.
I don't know if we can share that on here.
I think I can.
Yeah, give it a shot. See if you can do it.
All right. Are you seeing my slideshow?
I am. Check that out.
So this is the chicken coop that we built. We bought a tiny little chicken coop at first when we just had a few chickens, but then we decided they needed a better house. The ones you can buy are pretty rickety, pretty weak. So we built this whole house, my girlfriend and I, and this is quite robust, let's say.
It's a nice looking house.
Yeah, right?
It is. It's really good looking. I'm not going to lie.
Thanks. This is our first 4 chickens that we bought. This is a little bit older than the age we got them. We got them maybe a few weeks before this. This is them very young.
I like the speckled hen. Pretty.
Yeah, they're all This is I built them some weird, like,
Playground.
yeah, playground furniture that's just like, you know, a nail gun and a chop saw and you know, that kind of thing. And they just love climbing on anything you can give them to climb on. The goats are the same way. They do the
That's
same thing
awesome.
for the goats. This was some of our first eggs. This
Very
is
nice.
egg production.
Holy Lord, that's a bucket.
Yeah, we have a lot of eggs.
And you had that one giant egg that I saw.
Yeah, the double yoker.
That was huge. Poor thing.
This is my studio that I do my photography and music videos in, that we built in the
Wow.
backyard also, or
Wait,
had.
you built that whole structure yourself?
Well, no, we had this built.
Oh, okay.
You design it in there's a website. You design it on the website exactly how tall, and you know, it gives you pieces to put together. So this is my office up here, and
That's
then these are the
amazing.
barn doors that open down here, and then this is 25 feet tall in the back. So in the back, I have a space that's 36 feet wide, 25 feet tall, 24 feet deep that I can do photography in.
That's
And
remarkable. That's like full on
yeah, it's
real.
a
I mean, that's
studio.
not someone's backyard. That's a real freaking studio.
Yeah, exactly. So we have about an acre of land, so it's really nice to be able to do that. So these are the chickens as they're older now. And this is one of the summer treats we give them, cantaloupe.
Little cantaloupe.
Yeah.
I love it.
This is one of the goats that we adopted.
And you know, goats are great for keeping brush back.
Oh yeah, we let the goats
wildfires.
out, and
Yeah.
they'll trim everything they can reach. So a lot of the trees, we have olive trees and things like that they kind of like drop seeds and kind of sprout young trees all over the place, and the goats take care of everything that you don't want.
Very cool. Yeah, it gets rid of all those little saplings, which is nice.
Yeah. Gets rid of all the weeds, everything. They're great for everything.
And also good for defensible space with wildfires. Get those goats out.
That's right. And this is our pig Hamish.
Aw.
And he also helps with maintaining the yard. We let them all out together. He's more digger, so he'll dig up roots and things like that of you know, plants that were long dead and gone, and you can't even see them anymore, like trees that are gone. But he'll dig up the roots and eat them.
That's awesome. I could use that actually. We have one tree that just won't go away. We cut it down. The root system, it just keeps popping up, and I'm constantly digging that thing out.
Yeah, that's what they do. They dig and eat that stuff. So yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I love what you're doing. And I'll be honest, I am a little jealous that because I would love to get into a more rural environment, space, kind of away from people. Yes, I want chickens. I'm not going to lie. I've said this for years. I want freaking chickens. But with the way real estate took off in the last 2 years, especially outside of urban areas,
we were so lucky. We were so lucky to get in when we got in. I mean, just from 2019 to now, just through pandemic, the house that we bought is not quite double the value, but almost.
Yeah,
it's
I
gone
absolutely
up like
believe that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But also with the improvements you added, I'm sure it's worth more.
Yeah,
I'm sure if you brought someone in to evaluate it for you, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
Studio alone.
Yeah.
Good Lord, that thing's gigantic.
Yeah. It's great. Do you want to? I don't know what's your time limit on these things? Are you?
I mean, usually 30 minutes max, but take your time.
Where are we at with that?
We're at 24 minutes.
All right. I want to tell you about chicken eyeballs.
Oh no.
Not as an eating thing.
Thank God.
As a biology thing. So, as a photographer, right, I'm fascinated with vision and the way we see and the way animals see and the way light works and all that kind of stuff, right? So our eyeballs come from fish, essentially, if you follow the lineage. That's why they're full of liquid. And that's why 60-something% of humans wear glasses.
I'm blind as a bat. I wear contacts.
Right.
Yeah.
So the reason it is like that is because our eyes developed underwater. And so they're full of fluid. And that's terrible for land creatures. And that's why we all go blind after whatever, 30.
Almost there.
Yeah. So chickens, their eyes come from dinosaurs.
That I believe.
In fact, if you just follow dinosaur lineage, chickens are dinosaurs. They just are dinosaurs.
It's kind of cool to think about.
All birds are. There's a evolutionary.
I think the Archaeopteryx was the first feathered dinosaur, if I'm calling.
They keep finding older and older ones.
Oh, really? I believe
yeah. It keeps changing. But yeah. So yeah, birds are dinosaurs. They just are dinosaurs, and their eyes developed from there. And because of that, their eyes are so much more advanced than ours, like crazy advanced.
It makes sense. I mean, if you think about raptors, they can see prey from the sky and just dive bomb it. So that makes sense.
So check this out. Okay. So we see a fairly narrow spectrum of visible radiation that we call light.
Mm-hmm.
They see one that's almost 3 times as wide. So, we see 𝑦𝒉𝒂𝒏𝒈, the rainbow of colors, right?
Yep.
They see more colors. Ones we can't even imagine, right? So they see ultraviolet light. Imagine a blue that's bluer than blue that you've never seen before.
Be terrifying.
And they see infrared light. Imagine red that's redder than red that you've never seen before.
That would be terrifying. I mean, also imagine things they would see that we just never see, meaning, when your dog stares at a spot on a wall and you're like, what the hell are they looking at?
Yeah. Dog's vision is actually not that different from ours, a little bit worse, actually, but...
Oh, well, you know what I mean. I mean.
I know what you mean. So chickens see almost 3 times as many colors as we do. And the world looks completely different to them. They also, because they develop in eggs, they all their heads all lean the same way inside the egg. They all curl the same way inside an egg, and it causes their left eye to be against their body and hidden from the light, and their right eye to be exposed to the light.
Okay.
And this causes their eyes to develop differently inside the egg. So chickens and many birds have a right eye that sees distance really well, almost like a telescope. Like they can see something far away really, really well. And then they have a left eye that's almost like a microscope, where they can see, the chickens are pecking at the ground all the time. And I'm like, it's just dirt. But they actually see mites.
Oh, yes.
They're seeing food. They're seeing little bugs crawling around that if we pulled out a microscope, we could also see.
Very true.
But with our naked eyes, we can't
see dirt.
We see dirt. Yeah. So they and you'll see them kind of cock their heads, or if they look up at you, they kind of cock their head this way, they're focusing their brain activity. They're focused on one single eye vision, because one of them is better at seeing far away. Like you said, a raptor seeing a mouse on the ground. And then the other eye is really good at seeing something relatively close in extreme detail. And Yeah.
I never really considered that before. I just thought that was a raptor thing. I didn't know. I mean, obviously now that I'm saying it out loud, it's making sense.
Yeah.
But it's just something you don't think about until someone like you educates us. Which
Yeah.
again, education outreach, that's what this is all about.
That's right.
Who
So
knew
yeah,
that we'd start with talking about urban farming, filmography, directors, and now chicken eyes.
chicken eyes. Chicken vision is, I don't know if you watched, and I'll close it. I'll wrap it up with this. But if you watched Battlestar Galactica,
A little bit, the first
little bit.
couple.
The first couple.
Seasons.
There's a, it's about basically androids that look like people, right? Synthetic people. And there's one scene where one of them is just cursing his eyes, these gelatinous balls in his head that see such a narrow spectrum, because he wants to see, supernovas in ultraviolet, and he wants to see, the world in all these different ways that other computers can see them, right? Because they have different forms of sensors and cameras and eyes and things like that. And chickens remind me of that, because their vision is so advanced. They see so much more of the world than we do.
Yeah.
That I'm envious of them every day.
Aw, that's kind of sweet. Well, I wish you and your chickens well.
Thank you.
I love the fact what you're doing and the urban farming thing, and growing local and also learning and teaching other people what they can do. And then of course taking in animals that people can't take with them. That's awesome as well, because my dogs have always been rescues, so I feel for that. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for your time, and keep doing what you're doing. And I love that studio. My God.
Thank you.
Music videos in your backyard. Who knew that you could do that?
So great. Obviously.
Yeah, it's so great. Working from home to a new level.
That's right.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you. Bye-bye.